we have a lot of information to go over, so we are ready. Thanks for coming. The governor and his team will present to you a whole bunch of information regarding the trade missions to Japan, China, and the Philippines. And so without further ado, Governor.
Thank you, Troy. Again, it's good to be back in Guam. I was just joking around with some of the folks there. I said, I wish I had my red ruby slippers. I tapped it 3 times and says, it's great to be home, it's great to be home, it's great to be home. But it is great to be home, and we have some good news. As many of you are aware of, this past year, the administration has focused first inwardly in looking at our government, trying to find ways to improve not only the financial stability of our government, but also stabilizing our services and then improving both the finances and the services. We believe we've accomplished that. But that's one part of the equation. One part of the equation is right-sizing of government and improving services. The next part of the equation, and we've stated from the very beginning, is how do we grow this economy? How do we provide more jobs for people? So again, that the level of poverty that we currently see will be reduced. We believe we did have that potential, and we do have that potential. We are unique in that we are a piece of America, but we are in Asia, which is the fastest growing region of the world when it comes towards economic growth. And with that special, unique trait of Guam, it was our objective to go on economic trade missions to Asia. We've accomplished the first phase, which is again a trade mission to Japan, to China, and to the Philippines. At the end of it all, what we like to see occur, aside from hundreds of thousands of tourists coming in for places, new markets such as China, and also increasing our shares in places such as Korea and Taiwan and the Philippines. But it's also not only tourists, it's also investors. Investors building hotels, investors building businesses, investors coming in and assisting us in building the necessary infrastructure to build a better community. And most of all, it's about providing jobs for our people to ensure that for any able-bodied, ready and willing Romanian, that if they want a job, all they need is to have the necessary requisite skills and to go out there and apply for a job, and they will get that job. And with that, I want to introduce my team. These are individuals from our administration that have participated in one or more of the trade missions. Thank you, and good afternoon.
Thank you, Governor. Our trade missions, those trips we believe were very fruitful. On the one hand, we met with a number of different government officials, senior government officials in various countries. As an example, we met with Vice President Binay of the Philippines. We met with the Japanese Minister of Defense, the Vice Premier of China, along with mayors of Shanghai, Beijing in China, and Bacoor and Puerto Princesa in the Philippines. We also met with some congressmen out of Zambales, various provinces in the Philippines, and the Vice Minister of the National Tourism Association out of China, which is the counterpart to our Guam Visitors Bureau. So we were able to liaise with various representatives from the higher echelons of the national governments in the respective countries, and Governor Calvo did an excellent job in promoting our island as an opportunity of investment on their part. That would be number one. Number two, in terms of the topics that we discussed, Guam, provides a lot of opportunities. Certainly, we could talk about tourism, which Joanne will go through in a little bit more, as well as Mary, the tourism business and expanding that industry for us. We had the military buildup in Japan, specifically, was a very, very hot topic of discussion, as it was in the Philippines as well. The visa waiver program out of China. We were fortunate, we also met with U.S. Embassy officials of the State Department, and we were negotiating with them or speaking with them on how we can streamline the process of providing a visa waiver as we move forward with that program. In addition to that, there were a number of different general industries that we spoke with various counterparts. Certainly, as many of you know, Governor Calvo's big components of his economic development is the affordable housing program. In every single country, we were able to generate significant interest from large, very well-heeled and very resourceful organizations that want to invest in Guam and participate in the affordable housing program. So that's something that we looked at. It was very, very exciting. Construction. We met with a bunch of construction companies, a number of construction companies in all 3 countries, and they're very interested in finding out what are the opportunities for Guam. Interestingly enough, the retail side of the house, we met with a group who's looking at putting up approximately 6 different stores on Guam in the next couple of months. Education tourism. Again, Governor Cabo has been a major proponent. He was able to meet with some educational institutions of higher learning in China, and he's working with them to try to bridge that gap between Guam, Shanghai specifically, and our University of Guam. So that's another area. We were, again, fortunate to tour some facilities, medical facilities in the country of the Philippines, and see what sort of services they have to offer for us as well. Governor Cabo had an opportunity to meet as well with a number of different port operators who might be able to lend some of their expertise from a software and hardware component into our very own Port Authority of Guam. So, and at the end of the day, we felt very successful with some of the results that come out of this trade mission. And again, that's going to translate to jobs for our people. Governor Cabo has put a task force together along with his Council of Economic Advisors to do just that. Look for ways to spur our economy and put us in a position to provide jobs, much needed jobs, to our local population. It's exciting time to be working with the administration. There's a lot of work ahead of us. These trade missions are the building blocks of relationships that we expect to forge in the immediate future. And I'm working with a very good team. You know, Papa and Lynn from Gita, Mary Joy from the airport, Joanne Camacho from GVB, and of course Henry Titano as a special assistant to economic affairs to the governor. And so it all boils down to jobs, and that's something that Governor Cabo is pushing us to ensure that we get through. So with that, I want to turn over to Henry, who will review some of the general, some of the other areas that he dealt with in China.
I think just to start off with, you know, one of the things we need to focus on in building jobs is access and exposure for our local industry. One of the things that we were very focused on is, you know, identifying what opportunities that are there that are being demanded from these investors. We found out that investors are very liquid in these countries, and they're looking for opportunities to diversify their investment portfolio. Obviously, with areas like with Japan, it's reinvestment or it's strengthening or diversifying their investment. What we're doing right now is working with the Foreign Commercial Service. It's a service that's provided out of the U.S. Embassy, out of the Department of Commerce, that gives assistance to states and territories with market access, with market promotions out in foreign destinations. GVB has been very helpful. We worked with their representative out in Japan. What we're looking to do is actually focusing our efforts on the commercial investments and potential business tours, and kind of accentuating GVB's efforts on the leisure travel as well. China, just nothing but opportunities, I guess I could say. Our feedback from that. We started in Shanghai. Shanghai is kind of like the New York of China. You know, tons of opportunities and very liquid investors. One of the first events we had was a lunch sponsored by the American Chamber of Commerce. In that lunch, the governor gave a presentation on Guam opportunities. A lot of people are just learning where Guam is. So with China, our strategy is really to engage the market and have educational outreach, as well as obviously, you know, we've been very aggressive on our China visa waiver. We're going to continue to pursue that. I think what we learned out in China is that we have even more substantial, you know, potential and I guess, you know, things that we can identify as facts and figures as to why, you know, Guam should be able to prosper from that visa waiver program. In addition, you know, Shanghai's Commerce Department out of the U.S. Embassy was assisting us. They have a representative there who's actually from Guam. Her name was Sarah Fox Shin. She's actually going to be assisting us in doing what we call like a reverse trade mission with the American Chamber of Commerce. There were people at the Shanghai luncheon that wanted to already set up tours to look at opportunities in Guam, and that's something we're very excited about. We then transitioned to Beijing, where the NGA and State Department meetings were the focus. I think with that, we heard directly from government representatives themselves. A small province could be 43 million people, and their outbound market continues to grow. I think Mary and Joanne can kind of talk about the continuing growing trend in the China outbound market to the U.S. If we only got a portion of that market, it would be substantial growth in our economy. So providing access and exposure to the China market, as well as strengthening our ties and relations with the Japan and Philippine markets are definitely focuses that I'll be working in collaboration with GITA. GITA's investor desk is going to be enhanced. It's going to take a new and more aggressive role in engaging with potential investors. Some examples of that are actually providing market research on specific industries. There were, for instance, GITA just recently had a franchise conference that it attended in the Philippines. We had about 30 or so representatives from that conference attend our Philippine seminar. In fact, our Philippine seminar, we planned for about 30 to 40. We ended up having around 60, I think. So, I mean, there's continued interest in these markets. With the mature markets, it's expanding. It's further penetration. How we're working with the Foreign Commercial Service is we're utilizing their investor desk. They have territories and states that already have representation there. We're starting to build that representation. In addition, we're going to work collaboratively with our private sector on supporting a greater presence out there in China, especially. So, those are some of the things that we're